Okay, now we've made it to Module 3, the cardiac system, or the cardiovascular system, the system of the heart. And we are going to talk about the structures and functions of the heart in Section 1. We are going into this with the idea that you have had anatomy or are taking anatomy or physiology and know already the parts of the heart, but we're going to review this so you can build on that and move forward. This is a basic diagram of the heart and the major vessels leading to and going away from the heart. We have the pulmonary veins, which bring blood from the lungs. Pulmonary, meaning lungs, brings oxygenated blood from the lungs to that left atrium, and it goes to the left ventricle. And the aorta is the largest artery in the body, and it goes away from the heart, bringing oxygenated blood through a main vessel, the aorta, in our body, and other arteries branch off from that to feed all of our body structures oxygen that it needs. Once our body gets the oxygen that it needs, the deoxygenated blood comes back to the heart through the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava to the right atrium and the right ventricle, and then it pumps to the lungs to get oxygen again. But notice this, in the ventricles, below the ventricles is the muscle tissue. The heart is a muscle, and it is a very strong muscle, and it's responsible for pumping those left ventricles so that blood can get into those big vessels and move where they need to go. So it's very important that you know all of these basic structures of the heart. Some common terminology that you'll see in the cardiac section is primarily, let's talk about the word cardio. Cardio meaning heart. You can attach that prefix to other words and can take on a new meaning related to the heart, such as vascular, which is vessels. If you put cardio and vascular together, you get cardiovascular, which means the heart and all the major blood vessels that we talked about in the previous slide that carry blood. The heart is a muscle, like we said, and it has different layers. So the pericardium is a big sac that surrounds the heart. It's not actually part of the muscle itself, but it's the outer shell of the heart. And the epicardium, which epi meaning outer, cardi meaning heart. So the epicardium is the outer layer of that muscle. The myocardium is the main meat of the heart muscle. And then the endocardium is a small inner layer of the heart muscle. And so it's easy to remember this because peri means around. So we talked about the pericardium being around the heart. Epi meaning outer. Epicardium is the outer layer of the muscle. Myocardium is the main muscle, myo meaning muscle, and endocardium, endo meaning inner, is that inner lining. So this is what your heart muscle is made up of, and to allow it to contract, just like other muscles in our body. There are more terminology words that you need. Okay, that was a lot of information for you to take in one video, but all of those terms that he went through are important terms that you will be using in pathophysiology. Some of them you will not need to recall for this course, this pre-pathophysiology course, but if you want to keep that video in your back pocket, you will definitely want to review that video again when you start the heart section in your semester-long pathophysiology class. So I tell students this in the pathophysiology class every single semester, that if you know the blood flow through the heart, you're going to answer questions more accurately than not, because understanding the flow of the blood through the heart will help you to know when there's not something going normally, or when something's not normal, you can know which part of the body or heart or lungs, whatever, is impacted by that disease or defect. And I'm going to go through this with you. The oxygenated blood, it starts in the lungs. The lungs give oxygen to the vessels that go by there through the alveoli. The oxygenated blood goes to the pulmonary veins to the heart. It's going to go to the left atrium, then left ventricle, and then that oxygenated blood is going to get pumped to that big, huge aorta to go to our body tissues and give our tissues that oxygen-rich blood. Once we've used that, it goes back to the heart through the vena cava to the right atrium, right ventricle, and then the pulmonary arteries, again, to pick up more oxygen in the lungs. So we're going to look at this a little bit closer in the next slide. So just like you did in the other slide, go ahead and play this